Thank you very much. And stay where you are, because we're going to take a seat. So I would like to welcome back up to stage Caroline. Well done, both of you. How does it feel to have your lightning talk done and dusted?
Yeah, I'm still trying to calm down my nerves.
Yeah, you both did fantastically, and I saw lots of nodding and engaged faces, and a lot of you have been asking some very good questions, very tough questions. Caroline and I were just reading through a few of them as well, but I wanted to start where both of you have already touched upon the topic of, we're speaking about empathy demand and what really is empathy. Because I think when we're using this AI-powered services, a lot of people mistake empathy for mimicry. So empathy is the capacity to understand and share the emotional state of another person. Mimicry is the automatic, often unconscious imitation of another's nonverbal behaviors, such as gestures, postures, or facial expressions. So could you give us a little insight into how you feel towards that, because I think especially younger generations are mistaking mimicry for empathy.
Yes, that is a very hard question.
I know, I'm starting off tough. This is one of the easier ones.
Okay. Should I go to talk about
how would you recommend someone could spot and know when are we truly going to get to empathy, and should we get to true empathy as well?
I don't know if we'll ever achieve actual true empathy, but I think what we can be considering and designing, which is what I talk about about humanizing the path, is around in the design and creation process is what time and investment is being put into understanding the true human emotion and context that people might be going through at any given moment. You know, we've done a lot of work at EY Studio Plus about improving the bereavement journey. So when people are having to go through the very challenging process of closing the accounts of loved ones, sometimes when they're calling their bank or financial institution, they'll have to explain up to 8 times that their partner has passed away, that they have to be essentially re-traumatizing themselves every time they go through the process of just closing an account. So how are you thinking about to deliver a sense of empathy? Is that you're building systems that can understand and pick up on human emotion. And empathy isn't just about pure compassion. And it's also about being able to make difficult decisions as well, about having systems that have a responsibility and understand when an AI is no longer the appropriate tool or way of that a service is being delivered, but that they get rooted to a human being to support them through.
Yeah, and we spoke about that previously as well in terms of it's ethical. There's an ethical responsibility that when the AI is unable to serve that need, that it does get referred to a human.
Yeah.
But when developing these services, how do we encourage companies to actually get to that point? Because some products might want to get ahead of competitors by actually just saying, no, we can help you, when ethically they actually at that point should hand over to a human. Where do you think is the line, Rebecka?
Oh, I think this is also a very tricky question, of course. But I do believe that we need to build systems and we need to build tools that do adapt and fit themselves into the current situation and context that we're in. So if we have hardship, it should be responding to that. Though I have a little bit of a struggle talking about that technology or machines can understand and sense empathy and emotions, because that is very human. That belongs to us, but it should be adaptable to it. But also to answer that question, I think that the technology that will win in the long run is actually addressing a lot what you're saying, trying to understand the user, and we do that with research. And we do that with understanding our customers or what have you. And by bringing their insights in, we can also develop tools that are adapting to these kind of situations. And then that should really be one of the key points. When is it more appropriate to have a human on the other end of this interaction?
Yeah, and you're speaking about the different research that you do, and I know you do a lot of research. So one question that's come in is curious to know if you started researching the impact of AI on our brains when we're substituting very simple thinking we usually do on a daily basis by an AI prompt. For example, congratulating a friend by text.
Yeah, so there's a lot of research being done in this and a lot of experiments, and I think it's super exciting. The first piece that we did on it is actually back in 2015. We started realizing, that AI, if that really comes to evolve to become to what it is today, people will start to spam the accept button. Like, yeah, I will take this. And so we did a piece of research on globally on early adopters, similar to the one I presented here today. And we asked them about this. What do you think this will have the impact? And 1/3 of our respondents believe that we will lose our critical thinking. And a lot of our respondents actually believe that in the future we will need to go to mind gyms. So we exercise the brain just like we exercise our muscles.
Yeah.
Would you go to a math gym?
I don't know if I'd go to a math gym, but I think I probably need to go to a Sudoku gym or something along those lines.
That would be nicer, I
Yeah,
think.
that would be nicer. It's a real challenge, though, and I think there's fascinating research that's being done in universities around the world around the space of cognitive offloading. And there's a university in the United States that's released a paper not long ago all about this new idea around cognitive surrender, which is essentially like the next level of cognitive offloading. We do cognitive offloading every day. It's not a potentially terrible thing. If you pull out a calculator or use GPS, that's cognitive offloading. But research is suggesting that when we begin to use AI tools for recommendations, advice, decision making, we're more prone to trust those, to go against our better judgment, and to not also retain the knowledge that you learn. And that, to me, is really significant. And I would love for that to be the next phase of our empathy research.
Yeah. And here is really what you're coming to is also this over-reliance on AI.
Yes.
And it's something that happens within us as human and users. So I think that there is a lot of things that we could do in order to improve this.
Yeah.
So yeah, over-reliance should really be a hot topic.
And something that we should actively, there's a lot that we can do individually, but also on a company level.
Yes.
I just heard that the company that you were on the big screen was a little bit incorrect, Caroline. So we would just like to apologize. And would you like to say your title and company for any confusion?
Oh, what did it say?
I'm not sure.
So I work for EY Studio Plus, and we are the design and research studio that sits within the larger EY organization.
Okay, I heard it said know it instead, so apologies for that. You're EY Studio Plus.
That's right.
So we've got that cleared up, and there's a lot of questions coming in. I don't know, maybe the tech team can show the QR code if anyone else has burning questions. We are not going to get through all of these, but these are really, really interesting. One that I think is very interesting is, so if LLMs are bad at empathy, that means we as humans are also bad, since the models are trained on data generated by us.
Well...
Do it. Yeah. Who wants to? You can see the QR code there. Who wants to take that one?
Of course AI is bad at empathy. It's a machine.
Yeah.
I mean, so sorry to say, but do you want to give another answer?
I mean, that's certainly not my area of expertise. I will dodge that a little bit.
I mean, that's it. There was... if anyone watches any reality TV show, I'm just exposing myself here now. Yeah. But there was someone on the recent Love is Blind Sweden that was like, I even asked ChatGPT, how can I be more emotional? and it didn't help me. And
Shocker.
He seemed genuinely annoyed. They didn't help him. And you're like, well, you've asked a robot for feelings.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think certainly there's many terrible things that get surfaced through LLMs, but there's goodness as well. But we have to remind ourselves that the whole world is not digitized. Yep. Like what is captured in an LLM is not the captured world. It's one side of the prism.
Yeah, my best friend is complaining because I'm replacing her with Claude. Because Claude understands, my topics, what I want to talk about. She's very supportive and empathic, but when I talk to her about my work, she's completely blank. Claude is better at that.
Claude gets you.
Yeah, Claude gets me.
While we're talking about the more human side, there's another one that says, how come AI is replacing me in what I love, painting, and I still have to do the dishes?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a relevant question, right?
That's true.
So we have another question from Rebecka. How do we design for less reliance?
Oh, super interesting. Actually, my focus session this afternoon is going to talk about that. Make it some.
There we go. At what time?
Announcement 14, 15.
Yes. The second round of focus session.
Yeah, so it's about designing a little bit of friction. I will actually talk about the role of distrust in design.
Yeah, and we've spoken about when things are trusted or when services are trustworthy and the difference between the two.
It's
so
a
could
huge
you
difference.
Elaborate, what is the difference between the two?
So trust is the emotion. That's the psychological state that happens within us. Trustworthiness is how we deem something is worthy of that feeling, that trust. When we talk about humans, if we deem them trustworthy, we measure it, or the factors are ability. Do you have the ability to do the things that I'm expecting of you? Benevolence, do you want what's best for me? And then integrity, do we follow the same kind of moral rules? When in terms of AI, it's still on debate what factors. Some use the same, and others are talking more about functionality, reliability, helpfulness, and then of course we have the whole debate on trust, transparency and explainability, which more is a door opener for the other parts, I would say.
Yeah. And you just gave me a great door opener to my next question. So thank you very much. But Caroline, what does humanize the path look like in practice? What products does it point to, or what product types?
Sure. Well, I'm going to say, are you doing research? Number one, like how involved are people in the building of your products, and are the people that you're designing and creating for, are they at the center of that experience? And if they're not, then a path will never be humanized. So I think that's the first element of design, is that it's woven into the very start and the very creation and the intention of what you're building.
Yeah.
And then after that, there's a really exciting opportunity to understand core human emotions. You know, I did my talk today in 5 minutes, but I usually do it in about 40. And one of the really important parts of it is I talk about the Disney Pixar film Inside Out, and I talk about the 5 core human emotions.
Raise hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a remarkable film, and it teaches you a lot about the brain. But like, I'm always astounded when we're sitting and talking with leaders in big organizations, how little time they're taking to understand emotions and need states and what drives that through, and how they're really just leaning into use cases, and technological potential. So I think those are like really preliminary, fundamental things to begin humanizing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, by the way, I think we've broken a record. There's over 150 questions have come in.
Oh my gosh.
So we've got 2 minutes 40 to get through them. Lock in. But one of them, very small, what's your gut feel about what kind of world we'll be living in 10 years from now? Is it going to be controlled or saved by AI? Just a small question.
I mean, we do have agency in that, right? We're not at the mercy of, totally at the mercy of tech companies. Like, we all have agency in terms of what we use and endorse and in turn to, and those choices will be reflected down the road. So I think that's part of it. Sometimes I'm optimistic and sometimes I'm pessimistic. Today I'll be optimistic.
Because we're all human, you have both.
That's it.
Yeah, I think that we are super good at ironing out any creases and any problems, that we solve the problems that we face. It demands hard work, and we have to do the work. And as you say, there is agency in that. You know, we still have our choices to make. And so I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be really good.
Okay.
Nice. And there's a lot of questions coming in about kids, and we're speaking about agency. And obviously, we grew up in a time before we had these services, and so we had a level of critical thinking, as in we did a lot more thinking before we had these services. But there are a lot of younger generations who are growing up in these. So how do we teach them the agency, or to use their agency, and the critical thinking skills? I see you're ready to jump in.
I have 2 teenage daughters, and I'm super impressed that they are so much more aware of checking sources and like the sources for any information they get. So that is a tool they learned because they grew up in the time that they are growing up in. We didn't really talk about, or I'm a bit older, but we didn't really talk about that when I was growing up, because it was the school books, or library, kind of, or news magazines.
Yeah.
So I think that we are going to find our own tools in order to solve this.
Yeah. And last question, what role should regulation play in setting norms for empathy, trust and responsibility, particularly in high stakes or regulated domains?
I think it's fundamental. I think it's absolutely fundamental, is that the institutions that are at the center of protecting these like core services that undermine the quality of our lives, that they have a very strong point of view in terms of what the requirements are at a very human level. And it's absolutely critical.
Completely agree. And our time is sadly up. 15 minutes goes so quickly. There's been 170 questions. So the Women in Tech team have said that we're going to pick up some of these questions and answer them online afterwards. We will be picking your brains, but I know you have a focus session later. You are here all day as well, so people can come up and pick your brains. Do you have any last words of wisdom or optimism for the brilliant crowd here?
Oh, I just ask. Oh, actually, this is my research moment of wisdom. Is that I think a lot of times people will talk about asking the question why. As a researcher, what I will say is why is absolutely the right question to answer, but it's the wrong question to ask. If you need to answer why, always start with what and how, and build from there.
Nice. And I just want to say, I'm so grateful that there are so many women here, and I think that going back to a little bit what we talked about, the responsibility and the bias and all of this in AI, you are all needed.
Yeah.
That is a perfect moment to end on it. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Give Rebecka and Caroline a big round of applause.
Thank you.